Hey everybody, welcome to Weight Loss for Women Over 40. I'm your host, Nikki T, and we are diving into our final episode of Confidence in Clothes series, and it's called Confidence Habits That Stick. And I really want you to listen to this episode a little bit differently. Not as like these are some tips I should try, but as how I can actually become her. Because confidence in your clothes is not something that you achieve, it's something you practice daily until it becomes automatic. And today I'm going to be walking you through some habits that actually are going to really stick, not just for a week, not when you're motivated, but ones that really become part of who you are. And if you are new here, welcome to Weight Loss for Women Over 40 again. I'm your host, Nikki T, also known as Nicole Tournay. And I have been in this industry for over, 20 some years. And I, if you're new, I have been a personal trainer since 2002, and I did all the dieters mentality crap stuff that, where you get the 1200 calorie, whether it's paleo, whether for me, I think my first diet was South Beach. It was horrible, tasted disgusting. But I lost weight. That was actually how I lost my baby weight. I was in a wedding. So I had my son and I did South Beach and, or no, wait, I'm sorry. It wasn't South Beach. It was the zone diet. And I got down to, for a wedding, for one of my friends, which was great in the moment, but the stuff that was going on through my brain all through those years of being early personal trainer and I do have a background in ballet. I was a professional ballet dancer, so there's a lot of like mindset food stuff that came along the journey with me. And even when I was training clients, they were getting results, so it wasn't like I was a bad personal trainer. I mean, people were getting results, but the problem is the mind F that you get while you're on these diets, while you're trying to do this grueling workout. Like there's a difference between deciding to go, I'm going to test my body and see what it can do, rather than I'm going to beat myself to a pulp because I want to fit into a size 4 or 6 or whatever it is for you. And that is what this podcast is all about. That is what my mission is. If you listen to some of my earlier podcasts, yes, there was some dieters mentality stuff. And I actually pulled a lot of my podcast episodes because I didn't want that out there. I didn't want that because it's just not how I operate now. And it's interesting, I'll run into people that have known me back in the day and they're like, oh, I know you don't eat that, or I know you don't do that. And I'm like, no, that's not my philosophy anymore. And, it's part of its growth and understanding how the body works, how your mind works, the psychology behind what you do. That is what fascinates me. And I think I will forever be fascinated by our brains because it just keeps evolving. It keeps unraveling, and how the capacity that we have inside our brain is amazing. Um, which is why I have branched off and started my Maven Heart business, which you will hear about very soon. And I'm going to have another podcast coming out, the Maven Heart podcast. And again, you will hear about it in the next couple weeks or month. But it's in a continuation of, the weight loss process that I've done. The weight loss process that I teach is really mindset, and it's understanding why you want to grab the Oreo cookies, why you want to dive into, the salsa and chips, and understanding how to operate from the patterns that you have. Everybody is so different. That's another fascination. There's so many layers of onions, like an onion, or like I talked about the Mariinsky doll, the Russian nesting dolls. It's like, you got to take these layers off, and that little tiny doll inside of you is the version that you want to be. So I digress. Welcome to the podcast. There's probably a whole episode in itself. As you also know, if you are a true follower of my podcast, I don't edit these. I just come on, I say what I need to say, and hopefully you take away at least some humor in my life and also some helpful advancements that you can take with you to become the version that you need to be in order to get the body that you want. So Again, we are diving into confidence habits that stick. It is the last in the series of the Confidence in Clothes series. And this is a 6-week series. So you can go back 6 episodes and start from the beginning if you are new. And then next week, I will be doing a brand new series. It is on hormones. So I hope you will hit that subscribe button and stick around. All right. So let's dive into the topic. So let's start right here because this is where most women get stuck, right? You try to wear the outfit, you try to stand up taller and straighter. We talked about that in the last episode. You say nice things to your body, but it's all lip service, right? And you quote unquote act confident, right? The fake it till you make it type thing. And it may work for about a day, kind of like diets, right? It may work for 2 weeks, 12 weeks tops. But at some point you fall back into your old patterns. That could be changing your outfit 5 times. It could be hiding in your clothes. I know I'm guilty of that. Like if I don't feel good about my body, a lot of times I am in hoodies and sweatpants, something that's covering me up. You could be picking yourself apart. You could be feeling really uncomfortable again. And it feels like you're like, well, what's wrong with me? And I'm going to offer there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. You do not need to be fixed or anything like that. Again, this is mindset, it's the psychology, it's the patterns that you've been operating on since you were very little. But you're trying to force a behavior without changing your identity. This is why I have such, and you're going to hear me say it in this podcast, but like the word habits, because I haven't found the right word to replace habits. Maybe it's patterns, I'm not sure, but if you're in the dieter's mentality, you are trying to force a behavior without changing the identity. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a gushing wound of your femoral artery and thinking that's going to stop. That's going to like stop the blood coming out. Sorry to be graphic, but and it's not. You have to go inside your brain and find out what it is that you are operating from. And again, this is commonly seen when you attempt to tackle a diet or some latest workout craze. And habits aren't, when they aren't tied to your identity, or patterns aren't tied to your identity, who you are, they don't stick. This is why you can try a diet that is making you eat 1,200 calories and it's not natural for you. It doesn't stick. This is why people that are taking that shot or getting bypass surgery and haven't learned the mindset skills around that, either they're going to gain it back or they're going with bypass. Or I've seen tons of people that have managed to undo the bypass surgery essentially, or you feel really crappy all the time. That's not fun. Why not do it naturally and be able to understand and know exactly how to lose weight, maintain weight, gain weight whenever you want? So your brain is always asking one question: is this who we are? If the answer is no, it will resist you. When that alarm goes off in the morning that you've set for your workout and it's not you, it's not your identity yet, you're going to hit snooze. You're going to hit that snooze over and over again, or you're going to turn it off, or whatever your normal is, or you're going to wake up and scroll on your phone so long that you don't go work out. So deep down, your identity is if I am someone who feels uncomfortable in my body, right? So again, let me just rephrase that because I don't feel like it came out well. Your brain is asking you one question all the time: is this who we are? If the answer is no, it will resist you. If deep down your identity is I am someone who feels uncomfortable in my body, then every time you try to be, quote, confident, your brain goes, this isn't me, abort mission, abort, 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 red alert. This is why it feels hard. And this is why it doesn't last. So instead of asking, what habits should I do? What diet should I do? What grueling workout should I do? Shift to, what would a confident woman in her clothes naturally do? And how do I start practicing that? As far as diets and workout, again, if you followed me for any length of time, or if you're a client of mine, you know that I don't like the word diet. It's a bad word. It's a D word. I don't promote dieting at all. I don't do calorie counts. We don't count macros. We don't weigh things. We don't food log. None of that. So understanding who that woman is that naturally eats natural and is able to lose weight, that is what you want to practice. So I'm going to give you some habits, patterns that you can start implementing. Don't go crazy. We'll talk about how to implement these at the end of the podcast. But the first one I want you to think about is deciding once. I love the word decide. I talk about it with my clients all the time. To decide is to cut off, to have no other options but that. It is very black and white thinking, but it's so helpful in certain areas in your life. So confident women don't renegotiate everything all day long. They don't stand in their closet for 30 minutes spiraling. They decide. So one of the most powerful things that you can do to build a new pattern is decide your outfit and commit to it. No changing, no overthinking, not just one more option. Because every time you keep changing, you are reinforcing, I don't trust myself. This is a trust building habit, not a clothing habit. So the second thing that you can start implementing is stop body checking. This one is big. Now, I wanted to say as a side note, I remember someone in the ballet world, and every time they walked past a mirror, they could not look at themselves. So there's a difference between, I almost want to say, like a narcissistic observation. And don't get me wrong, there's a difference between, like, we all have narcissistic tendencies. And so when I say narcissistic, I don't mean that they're a clinical narcissist. And I know that some people do look by mirrors and eyeball themselves. And I just want to clarify that it's the person that I'm talking about is the one that looks in the mirror and is like, not me again, right? Not my thighs, not my stomach, whatever it is. So stop constantly checking in the mirror in a negative way. I'm not saying go and be egotistical and look in the mirror like a narcissist would, but just notice the thoughts that come in your head. Or if you're constantly looking in a mirror, you're constantly looking for outside validation. Does this look okay on me? Does my stomach look like whatever? Right? Constantly looking in mirrors, constantly adjusting your clothes, pulling things down, sucking in your stomach, checking your stomach, like things like that. That's not awareness. That's anxiety. That's the more you do it, the more your brain believes there's something wrong and we need to fix it. So the habit becomes limit how often you check your body. I'm not saying that after lunch you don't go check your teeth to make sure you don't have food stuck in your teeth, or to look and see, like maybe your shirt is coming up or maybe it's coming unbuttoned or whatever, right? Check your zipper, right? What is that? XYZ PDQ. But limit it how you're checking your body. So if you're someone who's constantly checking, just 10%, knock it down, right? See what happens. Get dressed, check once, then go live your life, right? Maybe once in the afternoon, depending on what you're doing. If you got to go on stage or do a presentation, yeah, of course. So again, this is exactly something that I saw a lot in ballet in my early years doing personal training. Really over fixating on your body creates tension and it disconnects you from your body and it creates more insecurity. But when you move with your body instead of constantly analyzing it, everything starts to shift. Mentally first, then physically, the shift. All right. Another confidence habit or pattern number 3 that you can experiment with: embodiment over perfection. So I told you I was a professional ballet dancer. I've danced since I was 4 and I stopped when I was 30. When you practice in especially ballet, the goal is perfection. While I'm not saying you need to be perfect, but there is something about repetition, about rehearsal, about doing it over and over and over again. We practiced, especially me, like I remember, I mean, I would write notes. I have notebooks full of my own shorthand of choreography. And because I would write it out, so I would remember it, and I would be ingrained in it. I remember right before I would go to bed at night, I would run the pieces through my head, visualizing me doing the choreography and doing it correct, of course, right? And that's one element. And then it's in the studio, trying, doing pirouettes after pirouettes, doing jumps after jumps, choreography to get it to be where it's natural, right? So when you do step out on stage, it's effortless, right? There's not a lot of thinking. So for those of you who haven't been professional ballet dancers, think about when you learn how to drive a car. When you first sat down and you started driving, you were very aware of everything that you were doing. Hands 10 and 2 or whatever, looking in your mirrors, looking in the rear of your mirror, looking in the side mirrors, over your shoulders, all this stuff that's going on because it's a new thing that you're doing. But now I guarantee you're driving with one hand, you probably got a coffee in the other. I hope you're not doing the cell phone, and texting and all the things, but you can carry on a conversation with somebody, you can sing a song. Like there's so much natural ability that you've learned that it becomes automatic, right? So this is the same thing that we want to do with your identity of who you want to be. Confidence works the same way. So instead of do I look good enough in this, shift to how do I feel in this? How do I feel in my clothes? Do I feel grounded? Can I move freely? Do I feel confined? Can I breathe? Because come on, ladies, some of these outfits that we wear, we might as well be back in the day wearing corsets. That does bring you back to ballet costumes. Oh my gosh, some of them were so constricted and tight and, 9,000 hooks and eyes in the back. I digress. Can you breathe in your outfit? Can you breathe in the clothes that you are wearing right now? Because confidence is not visual first, right? It's felt first. And when it feels right, it feels and reads more confidence. Just as a side note, I want to offer too that I feel like there's one extreme or the other, meaning, maybe you are kind of overcompensating for your outfits, if it's you're trying to stick yourself into a smaller size or whatever and feeling confined. And I know there's a thought amongst us ladies where we think that if we just wear something tight and constrictive where we're uncomfortable, it will force us to not eat as much or force us to remind us of the body that we are going for or whatever, right? That's not being nice to yourself. And then we have the other extreme where you're showing up in your pajamas and slippers and sweatpants and all that, right? So I'm not saying there's not a place for it, but let's find what feels natural for you and the identity that you want to become natural for you. That's the gap, right? Finding that. All right. Habit number 4, neutral self-talk. Okay. So if you have been with your body for a long time, and I know you have, and you're not quite thrilled with it, you cannot jump to, I love my body. My body is awesome. If you're not loving your body, it feels fake. your brain will reject it. Your brain will be like, yeah, you liar. You don't love your body. Are you kidding me? I just heard you talk about your thighs or your stomach or whatever it was. So instead of jumping to, I love my body, it's awesome, find some neutral thoughts about your body. I have a body. My body can take me from this chair and walk me over to my kitchen. My body helps me breathe. My body is physically here. I have an arm, I have a finger, right? Like, really get granular on this where you can get neutral about your body. So you can also get very present, which is also very helpful. This is my body today. I am allowed to be seen in this body today. And this is one of my favorites. I am in the process of getting the body I want, and this is where I am today. Because it tells your brain, hey, we're still going after that goal, right? We're not content. We're not satisfied with our body because clearly you're not. So you're in the process of getting that body you want, momentum, right? Moving forward. And this is where I am today. This is where I'm making peace with my body today. Definitely like tag that, write that down. I am in the process of getting the body I want, and this is where I am today. This also will calm your nervous system. And as a regulated body, it can be more confident. Confidence habit number 5, repeat exposure. Avoidance kills confidence. So if you have some clothes that you wish you could wear, you don't wait until you lose weight. You practice wearing them now. Okay. And granted, if you got a pair of pants where you can only pull them up to your knees, you're clearly not going to wear them around the house, right? But you could try them on without beating yourself up and going, okay, this is where I am today. And then throwing them in the back of a closet for a couple weeks and then pulling them back out and going, okay, let's see where they are today, right? This is only feedback. It's not meant to berate yourself or diminish anything that you're doing, right? It's just feedback. So if you pulled on those pants and they only got up to your knees, and then a month later you tried them on and they only came up to your knees again, that's just feedback. That just means what you're doing isn't working. You haven't become the person that can pull those pants up, right? If you pull them up and they're halfway at your thighs, you're like, yeah, okay, I'm on my way, right? Feedback. So if you have clothes that are kind of close to like that next lower version of you, meaning physically, practice wearing them now. Wear them at home, wear them on a walk, wear them on errands. Because confidence is built through exposure, not avoidance, right? This is straight up psychology. Aversion therapy, right? If you don't like spiders, you make friends with the spiders, right? If you don't like your body, you make friends with your body. The more you safely expose yourself, the less threatening it becomes. This is why we carry so much shame around with us, right? If something happened to you and you feel shame about it, you will carry this around. But when you shine light on it, it doesn't make it so scary anymore. And the more you talk about it, it's like, and there are definitely bigger things that can bring on shame, but I'm going to give you an example of a smaller thing. So again, you've heard me talk about on this podcast about my thighs, how my ballet teacher way back when, I think I was 14, told me my thighs were too big for my body. And that stuck with me, right? And I felt shame because I wanted to be a ballet dancer. And I basically just made it mean that I would never become a ballet dancer because my thighs are too big. And which was not true because I did become a ballet dancer professionally. So, but that has always stuck with me, even as a personal trainer. I still think, I mean, my thighs, I've made peace with my thighs. That's okay. They are, I guess, bigger, Some people like bigger thighs. Some people like really thin thighs. Again, it's my ballet background to want to have thin thighs, right? But the more I made friends with my thighs, and what's interesting is my current boyfriend, he likes bigger thighs, right? So it's fascinating for me to go, oh, some other people like bigger thighs. That's interesting, right? Um, so the more you talk about it, you've heard me talk about it on this podcast, I talk about it to clients and use it as an example. It doesn't have the sting that it did when I was 14 or 20 or 30 or whenever. Um, so shine some light on that shame. And if you, in a safe space, of course, right? This is why I do private coaching because um, my clients can share this stuff in a safe space because I'm not telling anybody. And just be selective as to who you're sharing this with. That's all I'm saying. All right. So the reason why these habits will stick is because they do one thing. They create evidence for your brain. Evidence that you can trust yourself, evidence that your body is safe, evidence that you don't need to hide, and that you can exist without feeling the need to be fixed. And I want to, as a side note, say, like, you don't need to be fixed. I don't care if you're 600 pounds overweight. You don't need to be fixed. There's nothing inherently wrong with you. If you want to be healthier, then that's the motivation, right? Because someone who feels like they need to be fixed, it means you're saying there's something wrong with me. I'm not good enough. And when you get the body that you want, you think you're going to be complete. You're going to be fixed. I will tell you from personal experience, you will still have mind drama. You will still have stuff that comes up. And that's not a problem because if you're in this for the long journey of improving your mind, right? Because think about it. At some point, our bodies are going to start breaking down, right? That unfortunately is the matter of truth. So meaning if you're 100, your body is not going to be feeling the same way it does when you're 50 or 60. Okay. But your mind, right? If we keep working on our mindset and our mind and the psychology of things, that, it can pretty much stay with us the entire time because you're going to bring your brain with you wherever you go. Right? I'm not saying don't work on your body in the sense of like get it healthy, get it strong, all that. But it's the mindset that comes first, right? But you don't need to be fixed. You get to have the healthiest body if you want. You get to have the best mindset that you want to have. Happens over time. And your brain starts updating your identity when you start presenting evidence. Now, the key is you got to go into this without seeing the evidence. And that messes a lot of people up because in our instant society that we have, we want instant satisfaction. We want instant gratification. We want to see the evidence before we jump in. This is why people look for before and after testimonials. Now, I'm not saying that that's not important because when you work with somebody, you want to know that they know what they're doing, right? But I will say there are a lot of before and after testimonials that are doctored, that are lies, that are fabrications, right? And I know for me, a lot of my clients do not want to have their information out online. So the testimonials that you see on my website are probably, I don't know, 20% of the people that I've worked with because those other 80% don't want to have their information online. And that's okay, right? But just know that your brain is always going to look for evidence before you jump in. And you can't do it. You got to leap. You got to have a leap of faith into, do your due diligence, of course. But if you feel the pull to work with somebody or to do something that really, truly resonates with you, do it. And take ownership of whatever you're signing up for, that you're going to take agency and you're going to get what you came for. You're going to show up. So again, you start basically in the dark with this, right? No evidence. And then when you start trying to implement these habits or experiment with them, right? you start building trust with yourself. You start building the evidence, and your brain will update your identity as you go. And you'll go from someone who struggles with confidence in their clothes to someone who just gets dressed and lives their life. That is the goal, right? You don't want to be obsessed about what you're wearing every day. I mean, I get it if you're a fashionista, that kind of thing, like, that's your jam, that's fine. But again, what is motivating you? What's the operation behind it? Because if it's I'm not good enough, that's anxiety. That's your brain, your primitive brain kicking in, right? But if it's just normal of like, ooh, I love that little outfit, I'm going to wear that today, and then go live your life, right? That is the goal. All right. So if you take anything from this entire series, let it be that confidence in your clothes is not about the size, the weight, or the outfit. It is really about how you think about yourself, how you feel about yourself and your body, how you carry yourself, and what you repeatedly practice. That's it. So here's what I want you to do with those habits. Pick one or two, not all of them. I know you overachievers out there, you want to do all of them, but just pick one or two, right? Make it so easy that your brain's like, I totally got this, right? Practice one or two of them this week. Not perfectly, but just consistently. Because that's how this becomes who you are. Make sure you save this podcast episode or the whole series, right? And come back to it. And next week, pick another one or two habits to experiment with. And keep coming back and build on that, right? And if you're listening to this and thinking, I have tried this on my own and I keep falling back into the same patterns, I keep repeating this over and over and over again, that is exactly where my coaching comes in. Because this isn't about more information. I guarantee you probably have tons of information. Passive action is not going to get you the results that you want. And it's about rewiring your identity, the patterns that you are operating from, and the relationship you have with yourself and your body. That is the work that we do inside my private coaching, where you don't just lose weight. Like, losing weight is like the cherry on top. You're going to understand how you operate on such a deeper level that the weight will come off, right? But the person that you come in on day one working with me is not the person that you leave as, which is mind-blowingly awesome if you ask me. So you're not going to just lose weight doing this. You're going to become the woman who feels more confident in her clothes without overthinking it. You're going to become the woman who is naturally lean, is naturally healthy, naturally thinks awesome thoughts about herself. If you want that, you can apply at weightlossforwomenover40.net/call. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next series.